Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 everywhere from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, in between the city of Pittsburgh. We have Tessa here on camera. Thanks for waking up. We now have her filming us. On Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. We appreciate all of you watching our show. Everybody in Bethel, I appreciate the great feedback. And you can tune in to us on Verizon 32 and Comcast 7 every Tuesday through Saturday night, 7 o'clock to 8. And yes, we are on at 11 o'clock in the morning on Mondays, I was told. So check us out there. And this is the live show we've been doing for 4 years. You can also watch all of our shows on our Facebook page, which, by the way, hit a new high of 5,151. So thank you for all those likes. And you know the rule, if you like us, I'll like most of your pages within reason. Smoking Jim just likes everybody's page no matter what. So like him first too there. And you can be our friends on Facebook. We don't mind that. And we're seen all around, so check it out. And you can come to our shows when we do a show on location, Monday nights. And we start our first segment with What's on Your Mind. And we're going to do that, let me see, right after I announce who our sponsor is. I don't want to forget that because I ate that pizza and hoagie so fast, Smoking Jim didn't even know I was here. Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900. Right now, Zach's on the phone there. That's a Zach at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, and he's a great guy. Give him a call, tell him you talked to the talking machine, and he said, get your pizzas and hoagies there. And they have specials if you come in to carry them out. So thanks for being our sponsor. We appreciate you sponsoring our Tuesday night show. All right, with What's on Your Mind, we're going to start talking sports right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, did you bite a finger? What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Here comes my new green pen.
got to see Levine. My old high school option days.
Can you toss one?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. See that flip? That
Did you
thumb
see
down.
that fire?
I didn't pitch too much. I always kept it. But
I could tell.
but,
Thank you.
I could have played Ike Taylor and dropped the interception.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just glad you didn't get hit, Chip, you know?
Sorry.
But what's on my mind is Pittsburgh Sportsline Male Athlete of the Week. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Male Athlete of the Week had to go this week to Alderdice High School senior, 6'3", James Action Jackson in the City League Championship game at Peterson Event Center, where the University of Pitt plays. He had 24 points in the first half.
And I heard he ended up with 28.
Ended up with 28 points, so he gets the Pittsburgh Sportsline Male Athlete of the Week. They're still number one in the state. Good karma from the Pittsburgh Sportsline. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Female Athlete of the Week has to go to none other than Obama's junior forward, Michaela Porter, Darrell Porter's daughter. She had 23 points, and they won back-to-back City League championships, 3 in a row. And she could maybe win 4 in a row next year.
I thought they were with
Has
Alderdice.
Alderdice won back-to-back?
I thought it was
and the
Alderdice, aren't
boys?
they?
Alderdice boys, but Obama girls won
Oh, okay.
3 in a row.
Three-
Yeah.
so
Oh,
we
with
got-
Monique McCoy? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned it, the Pittsburgh Sports Line Coach of the Week goes to
When did
none
that
other than
happen?
Monique McCoy from Obama, won her 3rd consecutive City
Three-peat.
League championship title. And hopefully, in the first round of the PIAA playoffs, they get a chance to play a rematch against Penn Hills. And we'll see how the Pittsburgh Sports Line karma works for the first time with 2 teams going head-to-head.
Well, they might have to make an appearance before their next
That's
game.
it. And that's what's on my mind.
Smoking Jim, you've outdone yourself.
Thank
Unbelievable. Thank you very much. And what most people don't know is he is the busiest man in media. And I know you're not going to believe this, but he announced both of those games. And he also forgot to tell me who won or who was playing, because we were doing a boxing match, and I don't like to text him while
You
he's...
hooked me right up.
Well, that's because you distracted him. I don't like to mess with him while he's doing it. because that's the only focus that he has. So you were number one. I was not on the list until I had to ask. And then he had no problem giving up the information. And we were going to be together that night, which we did for boxing for another 4 hours to about 11 o'clock. So he almost forgot about telling me more about the game. But we were busy. We'll talk about that later. Smoking Jim, you are one of a kind.
Thank
the
you,
busiest
sir.
man in Pittsburgh sports media. Chip the Prophet Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. Good evening, everybody. Several things are on my mind. Obviously, I'm getting excited. First Pirate spring training game's about a week away.
Spring fever.
The players are, all the players are there. Everybody's on the field. They're practicing, batting practice, infield practice. It's great things to hear. The pitching staff is starting to get warmed up. Very optimistic about the Pirates' chances this year. The management team that's in place, the athletes they've worked miracles the last 3 years. I expect nothing less this year. But here's what's on my mind. You know, I've been a big advocate of rooting for the Alderdice basketball team, boys high school basketball team. Number one ranked team in Quad A in the state of Pennsylvania. And generally, it's the teams from the eastern side of the state that dominate in basketball.
Great point.
Where the western side of the state, we dominate in football. So, you know, it's great to see that one of the western teams is vying for the championship. Here's what I don't understand. Maybe my friend Jim can shed some light on this. But here is a team that won the City League Championship. Now, they played in the City League Championship because they weren't playing in the WPIAL playoffs, okay? Well, they're the number one ranked team in the WPIAL Quad A. Why is the number one ranked team in the state, why do they have to play in a play-in game to get into the PIAA playoffs?
Thank you.
I don't understand this. I don't think that there should be a need for them to have to play in a play-in game. I don't understand it.
First time ever that happened. You're right.
You know, I mean, this is the number one ranked team in the state. We're not talking about chopped liver here. Now, is it because they think so little of the City League or what it has become? Or should they have gone and played in the WPIAL playoffs and you know, and dominated there? I don't know. I don't understand it, but that's what's on my mind tonight.
That's a good one.
Great point.
Well, I know from my dad being involved in basketball and doing many City League championships, there was never the respect for the City Leagues in their heyday. And they could beat almost every team out there, east, west, or in the center of the state. There's nothing set up for that. I don't know all the rules about it, but I don't think it's even set up there, nor do they really worry about it. Look at what they did in football now. Does it even matter? Because it's all about the
They've
East.
got it so confused that they, you know, nobody's going to know. The right hand's not going to know what the left hand's doing.
But I will predict this year, no matter who wins or who plays Alderdice, they're in trouble. It doesn't even matter with the teams. I've seen a
Nobody
couple of the other
shakes the
games.
dice twice.
I've heard that.
You know, and
It rhymes too.
But you know, I mean, you know, anything could happen, and you know why they're playing a game that they shouldn't even have to play in the first place. It just boggles my mind.
Smoking Jim, do you know?
Well, this year, because of some of the realignments in District 10, the City League boys got to play a play-in game. The girls don't. The girls had an automatic bid into the PIAA.
So is it some of the rules that are set up like this?
I guess maybe because of the teams or lack thereof, the boys got to play a play-in game, but the girls don't. They're automatically in. But either way, like Chip says, very disrespectful for a team to win a championship, be ranked number one in the state, and they're not even in the PIAA playoffs yet. They got to go to Erie and play a team from Erie to win.
Which
So,
I have a feeling
Yeah.
that Alderdice is going to steamroll.
Oh, yeah.
But you know they shouldn't have to. So.
right.
Well, maybe it's just the rules and we can't do anything about it. We'll have to dig deeper.
Yeah, you
Smoking
know-
Jim, after he writes a couple of those articles, I'm
Right.
sure he can ask somebody on the rules committee to try to explain how that could happen.
Get enough people asking why, and something will happen.
Well, especially out of the city. All right, that's not what's on my mind. I'm a big Steeler fan. What's on my mind is Heath. Last night I couldn't get into it. And for him to retire, and we really don't know why he retired. It was sort of like a silent retirement. The Steelers announced it, Heath announced it, or through his representative, and then we don't hear much about it. So there's a lot of great speculation. My speculation is he's made his money. he has a brain still. He has basically good health because he's rehabbed the last year or two, but he's not the same player. Anybody that doesn't recognize that he's not the same player who was so great, he's more of an average type player, but he is 33 years old. So that stuff happens. I think whoever advised him to do it, or maybe just him and his wife and family come together with that, I think that was the best decision possible, and it'll help the Steelers because of his timing of it on to try to get a tight end, or maybe Jesse James will be the man. So we'll see what happens, and they got a couple other players too. But I'm happy for him and his family and all the years of here in Heath. It's just been an honor to be able to watch a first-class individual like that, and I always thought he should have got the ball some more. So I'm going to, since he retired like that, I just wish they would have thrown him the ball a little bit more. Go Steelers, and that's what's on my mind.
To speak to Heath's career, I mean, the way he's been his entire career is the same way he exited.
No, I know.
With
That's,
class,
yeah.
not a lot of fanfare, but you wouldn't expect anything like that out of him. And for whatever reason, he's decided to retire. Wish him well.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be missed, but hey, maybe he just realized 11 years in the NFL. Not a lot of people have 11-year careers in the NFL.
Especially with the horrific injury he had a couple years ago, too.
Yeah.
A lot of players don't come back, and he come back almost the same level. So I'm happy for him, like I said. So way to go, Heath. Now we do our next segments. For all of you that are new to this, you got to check out, make sure Smoking Jim's not taking that last bite. He did that last week. You clear, Smoking Jim?
Yes, sir.
We have Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Everybody's going to think the show is a little scripted, and
It is.
And I wish I had got a little bit more light on me. But anywho,
Tessa, get more light on Smoking Jim.
but I'm going back all the way to
When?
2005.
You know that's 12 years ago?
12
No.
years ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers draft.
He just agrees.
The Pittsburgh Steelers did
11.
not have Heath Miller on their draft board because he was the number one tight end in all of college football. Won the John Mackey Award as the best tight end in all of football. But because most NFL scouts, including those that work for the Pittsburgh Steelers, are idiots, since Heath Miller had hiatal hernia and couldn't go to the combines, he dropped from a top 10 pick all the way out of what was probably the first round. So the Pittsburgh Steelers got a steal when they got Heath Miller in the first round. They were very excited. Bill Cowher and them got an excellent steal. And I'm going to put my buddy Chip on the spot today. I know I take a lot of heat because in 2005 I rated the Pittsburgh Steelers draft a D. So I'm going to mention the players that was picked in that draft, including Heath Miller, and you guys give a letter grade, and then afterwards tell me what grade you had. First round was the 572 career catch. Heath Miller, you got to give that an A grade. Second round, the Steelers took a cornerback, Brian McFadden. I give that pick maybe a C. Third round, Trey Essence, overweight offensive lineman. I give that draft at F. Fourth round, wide receiver Fred Gibson, another F. Fifth round, Ryan Wallace, a wide receiver, another F. Sixth round, Chris Kimoatu, give that grade a C+.
Okay.
I liked him. Seventh round, defensive end Sean Nua, F. Eighth and final round, it was 8 rounds in that particular draft. They drafted Noah Herring, running back,
Excuse me.
another F. So back then I gave it a D-. What do you say, Chip? Was I right?
Yeah,
or was
you
I
know
wrong?
what? I might have given him a little bit higher than a D-. But I also just want to make sure that we are talking about the coaching staff that made this draft was not the coaching staff that exists today. That would be the Gins, But I mean, you've been critical of most Steeler drafts. If you had been around in 1974.
That'd get that an A+, an A, triple, double, do.
But I mean,
plus.
Heath Miller. Obviously, that pick was an A. I mean, you look at that 11-year career. How much more could you ask out of a tight end in the Steelers system? Chris Kimoatu was serviceable for several years. What was
Brian
described
McFadden.
him? They said he was a violent run blocker.
Yes, he was.
Okay,
Yes, he
so for a short period of time, the rest of them, just fodder.
Smoking
And
Jim,
that's
I
it.
don't even want to talk about that draft because of the chin.
Who I
Okay, it's
love.
so disrespectful how you are.
Who I love
You're
the
so
chin.
disingenuous to say you love a guy, and you give him a D minus before they even play any football. Why is he picking guys like that? Maybe that's why we didn't win that extra Super Bowl.
Well, the one problem with
Because I actually give him a D because I was more optimistic.
There
than
you go. Well, the one great problem with Bill Cowher, and it's the same problem with this current regime, is all the players came from Division I programs. Bill Cowher believed in drafting players who played under the big lights. There's so many great players who play at the smaller college level that if you get them and develop them for a couple years, their potential is so much more greater. Okay. And that would hurt. That's would hurt Bill Cowher. But Bill Cowher's strength, unlike these other coaches, is he had good assistant coaches, and two, he could get the veteran free agents. People wanted to play for the chin, and that's
So
not,
it doesn't matter what the draft was or is.
Yeah, because
that's what you're saying.
because they could attract some veteran free agents.
Well,
who wanted to play for themselves.
and of course, this is the team. Okay, we're giving it a D, the D minus on the draft. Okay, the 2005 draft, the 2005 Steelers
Thanks
won
for agreeing
Super
with
Bowl
me.
40. So
You have to put some things in
you have
perspective.
to put things into perspective. That was a Super Bowl winning team that won the last 6 games of the season, went on the road, and was the first team to
a
win
wild card.
all of their road games all the way up to the Super Bowl. Didn't play a single home game in the playoffs, and they
And who
pulled
was
it out.
one of the big reasons for that? Jerome Bettis, who we got in a trade. We never drafted him. So, but good point.
Well, we can thank Rich Brooks for that because Rich
Yeah.
Brooks
Yeah.
didn't think that A, Kevin Green would fit in his system, and B, Jerome Bettis didn't fit in his system, and we said thank you, and both of them in the Hall of Fame.
Late
That
great-
goes with my theory that sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good when you have good players and good teams. The luck, not just the chin, can win.
It goes to show you sometimes these guys that come out of colleges and think that they can be a head coach in the NFL and they're smarter and brighter than everyone else. Look what happened to Chip Kelly in Philadelphia.
He's in San Francisco now.
Yeah, I know. He hasn't done anything there yet. We'll see.
And folks, that was a little bonus talk on some of Smoking Jim's a catalyst for a lot of things. I did not bring up that at times he does work for the Steelers. So put his first comment, like, I don't know, just in a drawer for now, because I don't think he was calling himself an idiot. For all you young kids that are watching that, please don't call people idiots. And we're going to move forward now. One of my favorite segments, Chip's Trivia Time.
Oh, thank you very much, Alan. And I'm going to keep my trivia going for the time being. I'm going to stick back with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And
That isn't a surprise.
we're going to take a little walk through some of the leaner years of the Pirates because we just went through, 20 years of losing, which is not even the longest period of losing that the Pirates have experienced. That is correct. Of course, the
He's
team's
a
been,
huge baseball fan.
the team's been around for almost 130 years, Jim. So
Yeah, but that was a record for consecutive losing seasons in all team sports.
okay, so here's where we're going to go back to some of the Pirate teams that really didn't have a successfully winning team, but they did have some drawing cards. And shortly after the Second World War, they signed a guy named Ralph Kiner. Ralph Kiner, may he rest in peace. When I was a child, my first experiences with Ralph Kiner was watching Kiner's Corner on WOR-TV
I remember
on the
that.
Superstation outside of New York. I didn't even realize that he had played baseball. He was the Mets broadcaster, and I used to watch a lot of the Mets games back then, and that's how I was exposed to Ralph Kiner. He interviewed everybody. Everybody wanted to sit down and talk to Ralph.
Got some tapes for Zach for that?
Could probably dig him up. But here's some of the amazing things that Ralph Kiner did in the short time that he did play baseball. He had, I believe, 361 career home runs in a 10-year career. So he averaged like 36 home runs a season.
Wow.
And this is back in what I guess they would consider part of the dead ball era, the 40s, early 50s. But starting in 1946, Ralph Kiner won his first National League home run crown. He did not stop winning them until after 7 years. He won 7 consecutive National League home run crowns that finished in 1952. I think that's a pretty amazing feat. Not many players in baseball history have won that many home run titles. I think you can maybe look at one other, one person in the American League that you could probably think of that won that many home run crowns. But to win them consecutively was amazing. And here's some other things that I found out amazing about Ralph Kiner. Okay, in 1952, he finished the season with a league-leading 37 home runs to win his 7th consecutive National League home run crown. However, the Pirates finished in the cellar with a dreadful 42 and 112 record. Okay, so next year, in the midst of a last place 50 and 104 season in 1953, outfielder Ralph Kiner is traded to the Chicago Cubs by general manager Branch Rickey. And if anybody remember the name Branch Rickey,
I recall.
One of the most was one of the general managers, Hall of Fame general managers in baseball, had a lot to do with getting Jackie Robinson up into the major leagues. Well, here's what Branch Rickey said, and this just goes to show you that, people talking about the Pirates being frugal now is something that's been pretty consistent over their history. He said, Kiner had general manager Branch Rickey and Kiner had earlier had a contract squabble with Rickey, who told the star outfielder that the Pirates could still finish in last place without him. So they got rid of him. So that's the way the baseball
nobody
is.
can say Branch Rickey wasn't a businessman.
No, he was a businessman, but more importantly, he was a winner. And he got the Pirates back onto the winning track again. April 17th, 1955. It was a historic day for the Pittsburgh Pirates. A certain young Latin American outfielder made his rookie debut for the major league team in right field at Forbes Field. The Pirates would go on to finish in last place again, but they ended a string of 3 100-loss seasons. That right fielder was Roberto Clemente.
He was black.
Latin American. Okay, in 1956, first baseman Dale Long set a major league record that was, I believe, tied by Ken Griffey Jr.
Years later, after
it was going into the Hall of Fame. Dale Long homered in 8 consecutive baseball games from May 21st to May 28th. The Pirates would go on to escape the cellar for the first time in 4 years with a 7th place finish. 1957, during another woeful 62-92 season that sees them tied for the worst record in the National League, the Pirates named former second baseman Danny Murtaugh as a manager. Things changed for the Pirates then. 1959, in one of baseball's most remarkable pitching performances, Harvey Haddix pitched 12 innings of perfect baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I mean by perfect baseball, Jim? I will tell you. He gave up no hits, no runs, no walks, no errors, no base runners until the 13th inning, and subsequently lost the game on...
How about tip foul?
No, they didn't even hit the ball. Not even close. That isn't in the stats. But
okay, here...
you're a baseball expert. Don't be telling people that.
Okay. Okay, and basically, here's how he lost the game in the 13th inning on an error, a sacrifice bunt, an intentional walk, and a double. The Pirates would go on to take a minor step backwards, finishing 78 and 76 that year. Then 1960 was the year the Pirates won the National League. The National League MVP was Dick Groat. Cy Young Award winner was Vernon Law. And the Pirates met the mighty Yankees in the 1960 World Series. And the ironic thing is in the 3 games that the Pirates lost in that World Series, they lost by a combined score of 28-3. every game they won by 1 run, but they only needed that 1 run to win in the Game 7. Bill Mazeroski made history. 2 other things to just kind of tie this all up with a little bow. 1966 was another monumental year in baseball history and for the Pittsburgh Pirates and for a certain Latin American right fielder. Yes, that would be the great Roberto Clemente. 1966 was the year that he won the National League MVP award, became the first Latin American player to win the MVP award in 1966. Clemente had a career high 29 home runs and 119 RBIs. And then last but not least,
that was in Forbes Field, which is amazing.
Was in Forbes Field. Yes, it was. Wow. And then last but not least, I posted a picture on Facebook today of this, July 28th, 1970. Sadly, the last game that was ever played at Forbes Field was played. The Pirates, I believe, beat the Cubs by sweeping a doubleheader in the final 2 games played at Forbes Field. Mid-season, they moved over into the north side, into the concrete palace called Three River Stadium, and the Pirates of the 70s, left their legacy there. But that's my trivia for you this week.
Thanks, Chip.
And I had that written down, Branch Rickey, because my dad told me that story many a times about Ralph Kiner.
So you do know one thing about that.
Yeah, my dad told me that story. With a hat in his hand, he says, hey, I led the league in this, I did that. What place did we come in? We could have came in last without you.
And that happens.
And that pretty much sums up,
well, in baseball, they owned
Baseball.
you. One of the things, you couldn't go anywhere else, or you had to go out of baseball and quit.
Kurt Flood was the one that
Right,
changed
and that's
that.
what broke that. Kurt Flood's the guy.
You going to call him Latin American, too?
He was African-American, Jim.
Chip's just going by what the nation has done for all this time.
Simply the facts.
Y'all can have Alex Rodriguez give us back Roberto Clemente.
You can never have him back because Roberto actually thought he should have been the MVP in 1960. There was some argument about that.
Who got it?
Dick Groat.
We just told you.
Dick Rowe got it?
Yeah.
Dick Groat. He played in the NBA. He played at the University of Duke. I believe he won a national championship with Duke. And, he actually won another World Series playing with the Cardinals.
Where's he
Yes.
from? Swissvale?
I believe.
I'm not sure.
Yes, I believe that's where he was, Swissville Edgewood. Yes, absolutely.
But Roberto was quite upset about that as a young Latino. Seriously, there was a lot of controversy through his whole career about that. He wasn't as beloved as you think.
Well, if he would have been upset as a young black, Jesse Jackson could have got him that co-MVP.
Well, we're not talking politics. Smoking Jim's a little off the reservation right now.
I'm staying away from that one.
Yeah, I'm just telling you a little baseball history, my friend, that Roberto Clemente was a humanitarian, was a great player inside the game and outside the game, and is a man also. But he did stand up for his rights. Thanks for that, Smoking Jim. Chip, it was an excellent trivia. It brought back a lot of great memories. And we're going to move forward with our On Location. We were at Atria's PNC Park last night. Thanks to Smoking Jim for getting everybody from coaches and more coaches and other people to come in. So appreciate that. We even have some cutting edge stuff. You want to explain what Glenn Anderson and Dave Young, as coaches, started that coaching organization that you brought there last night?
Salt and Pepper working together.
Okay, thank you.
They're, basketball here in the city of Pittsburgh have a rich tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And, the round ball game really was the last time you really had a national audience coming to Pittsburgh
Sure.
to see great talent. And they gotten together with 32 other states, and now Pennsylvania is part of the National Basketball Coaching Association. And Dennis Dixon, not Dennis Dixon, but who's the coach for the
Jamie Dixon.
Jamie Dixon, who may
That's
get
all right.
fired.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, before he gets fired, he's going to speak at the first
When's he getting
luncheon. And Susie McConnell Serio, one of my favorite,
Right.
is going to speak. And you're going to have college coaches coming from all over. And like we talked about and not to steal another 30 seconds, but we talked
take
about
it, please.
Older Dice may be the best team ever to play in the WPIL or the city in the history, and not one of their players is getting a Division I look. And Pitt, Duquesne, Robert Morris was not offered scholarships, and this is an opportunity for these coaches and the coaching association to maybe network and get some of these kids opportunity to go to college.
I don't, for the life
I
of me,
think.
I couldn't understand why Jamie Dixon wouldn't be sitting, taking a drive a couple of blocks up the road
Right.
and watching these kids play. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they you can't tell me they don't have Division I skills.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Smoking Jim, for that. It's always a pleasure to have Glenn Anderson on the show. And the great thing about this didn't even hit the national news yet or even local news. On March 1st, they're going to put out all these announcements. So we were honored that they come to our show, right?
Yes, sir.
And they told Jim to keep it under your hat.
Well, hey, Chip, let me explain something. And to our fans that travel well, here, Smoking Jim, I hope you can contain yourself because it gets worse, Chip. Not only did he keep it under his hat, but I have two guests. I mark on my calendar who they are. So I put Glenn Anderson, and I put Dave Young, who I'm friends with now, and I put on the calendar PA basketball coaches. That's all he told me. Now, what does that even mean? PA, I assume, is Pennsylvania. And that he kept it so far under his hat. Like, he doesn't take that hat often. I knew nothing. I even go, Glenn, what are you doing here? Because he works for MSA Sports and does things. He actually does a very nice campaign with Heinz Ward every year with positive athletes. Did I even hear anything about that? I hear crickets.
I remember Glenn. Yes, he was.
That's why I'm trying to-
We had him here
Yeah,
in the
right.
studio.
And that,
Okay.
Chip, that's why I was trying to bring you back up to speed.
Okay.
Because you knew as much as I did after he told me two coaches are coming in. Now, I'm breaking my New Year's resolution because I was trying not to pick on Smoking Jim. Even last night, and I had to ask Glenn Anderson, I go, do you still work at MSA Sports? Oh, yeah. And that thing with Heinz, yeah, positive athletes. So they're so tight-lipped. Even what they do, they don't tell you. I have to pull it out. And they're public about this. But they will announce this March 1st from what I was told. So I am honored by it. Smoking Jim helped to honor me by bringing him there. I mean, he picked them up, brought them there, make sure they were there. So an hour before him. So it's not a problem. And we had other guests, too. We had 3 young ladies from up around Newcastle. And one of them plays for the Riverhounds girls team. And they have soccer all year round. And the Riverhounds do a lot of great things with the kids. And the other 2 girls are with Tri-State, and they're like fantastic. And they seem to like to score goals. So you have to check out the video. It'll be posted later on. And it was nice to have them. We had a baseball guy. Chip, this is for you. This guy goes by the name of Tommy Wiggle because he was a pitcher in softball and he's played baseball. And now he sells bats, and they have a show, a demo show at the Meadows. It's free from 5 to 9 o'clock. There's going to be local athletes here, some of the people that supply baseball bats in the area, gloves, equipment. They're all going to be there. It's a free in the ballroom, and he was just a great guy. And he actually got me a connection for the Washington Wild things. They might want to do some things with Pittsburgh Sportsline. So I have to thank him for being on our show. I didn't know him at all.
That's my
but
team.
He does a lot of great things. So.
I know the general manager.
Nice.
The
Well, I
assistant general
figured.
man- I've been
You
taking.
do their. Here's why I'm bringing Chip in here, because we usually don't talk about what we do outside of here. Chip's one of the hardest working guys, and he does work for Superior Lawn Service, and they actually make the fields green at many places, including
Well,
the Wild Things.
The
on
Wild
field.
Things has artificial turf on the inside.
Okay.
We take care of everything outside.
Okay, I wasn't
and
sure.
And we keep it. Yeah, I'm not going to take credit for making artificial turf green.
Why not? We know people that do sell green artificial
No,
turf.
but I know the general man, the assistant general manager down there, and I have become friends, and they really class organization. And I'll tell you what,
That's
that
my
is a
team.
beautiful park. If you ever,
I've been there.
going to see a baseball game at PNC Park, I think it's a great ballpark, great atmosphere and everything. Go to a minor league ball game, and you will be amazed at how much more into the game you are because you are right there on top of the players. When
I love
exciting-
I love going to Altoona. That's what I like.
What, did you stop in the ballpark?
I love it there. I love it there.
You must have gotten lost.
what's the name of their team?
He doesn't know.
The baby pie.
No, the Curve. Thank you.
He doesn't know about the train that goes around that curve nearby. Smoking Jim, you can tell your sweeties for Jimmy whatever you want.
You know what? He is gonna be a baseball fan by the time I get done with him this season. Mark my words.
I'm already a fan.
You are a big fan.
But you're gonna be able to debate things with coming from a position of knowledge.
Well, the one name I want to drop is, I did talk to one of their guys from marketing. I'm not sure of his title, but Tony Bocelli.
Oh, yeah.
So, you don't know him. He's unbelievable. But you'll be hearing more about him, Chip, and Smoking Jim, and we'll be doing some things there. And we had some other guests there, Smoking Jim. We had one of our favorites, Dan Bogan, the Gladiators of the Cage announcer. He was in the rarest form that I've ever seen. He was the most calm that I've ever seen. And it was just great to have him on. Mark your calendars for March 19th. Gladiators of the Cage is coming back to stage AE. So it should be a great return. They got a great card from what they said. So we got a lot of things out there that you have to check that out and, come on out. Now the best for last, I didn't have them on at the end, but 2 local Bethel Park High School seniors were on our show. And I have to thank Handy Andy of EV Hardware, one of the producers here and a famous guy on KDKA, Handy Andy Show. Smoking Jim, you have to tune in. You got to meet him. He ended up setting this up. I've been asking for some Bethel Park High School students when they're not practicing, with the success we've had with athletics here, to come out to the show. We have the place kicker, Kelsey Tischler, was on, and she was actually our place kicker for the boys' high school football team. And she told us, she told us her story, why she did it. She come from a soccer family and got tired of soccer at 17. So I hope I'm telling you the story, but it'll be up on the video. And she talked about her first kick. And this would set most people back. She was playing Central Catholic in front of 2,000 people, let alone the noise and the pressure of Central Catholic being one of the best teams in the area, playing their first game of her season. She went up to kick the football, and she missed. And they were losing 7-6 at halftime and got beat. So for anybody to come back after that and still play, she went out the next day and kicked 80 field goals with friends. And they even put noise out. So my hat goes off to her. She's going to be kicking for the football team at Grove City this year coming up after she graduates. So it's quite an honor to have a student like that, great student, and also a great athlete. So that was an honor to have her.
I love hearing the stories of young athletes overcoming adversity, because that's really how you build character and how you become.
That's how we were made. That's how Smoking Jim's made.
You fall down, you get back up, you try harder the next time. And you don't just have everything handed to you. Tip my hat to the young lady.
And then this player amazes me, Stacy Gallietta, I think. She is a cross-country runner, and she became a pole vaulter because her one friend wanted to try it. Well, she stuck with pole vaulting since her since her sophomore year. She'll be a senior. Now you got to check her out in the pole vaulting this year. She just was practicing. She did her high of 8 feet 3 inches.
Wow.
She was only doing about 5 feet 4 inches when she first started. So I said, that looks like about as tall as you are. So for her to improve that much over less than 2 years, to me, there's great things going to happen for her. So we'll have to follow her exploits this year. And she's welcome back on our show to tell us what happens after track season. So congratulations to all of you. And anybody else that wants to come out and do an interview with the Talking Machine, you're more than welcome. I do listen and I ask questions. And I'm proud of what everybody does out there in whatever sport you're in. So Thanks again.
Can I give a shout out to Bethel Park? Sorry, Chip. I hope I get this right. I know they were at least national champs, but I think they were world champs. The Bethel Park cheerleading team won the world championship in cheerleading this year, or national, either national or world. I think it was world.
Well, you know what?
Congratulations.
I've asked them to be on before over the last couple years. Maybe we can find out. So
Jim,
somebody come out.
You know, Jim, that just dovetails really nicely out to what I was going to bring to your
Thank you,
attention.
sir.
And, you know, the
I can't
basketball, you know, the Whitfield playoffs last week, a certain team from out east of Pittsburgh was beaten by the Bethel Park basketball team.
Chip,
Gateway, did they get? Oh yeah, they got beat by Bethel Park.
Chip.
Jim didn't want anybody to know that.
No, it's ironic that you would have found that out and I would have seen it and not brought it up. That you did bring it up because I was waiting for him to talk about the Gateway Gators.
Yeah.
And you know what? Nary a word come out of them in the last 2 weeks.
No, we're gonna toot the Alderdice Dragons horn all the way up to the state championships.
And
'Cause
beyond.
I'm with Jim on that one, man. I'm all in on them. But
Well, even a blind squirrel does find an acorn
you know,
smoking
Gateway
Jim.
did have a great season this year. They had a good team, but you know, once you get down to the
Well, you know, they
quarter
didn't
and
miss a game.
semifinals in the playoffs, you're playing good. They're all good teams.
Yeah, but you know what happened? He didn't miss a game. He has season tickets to all of Gateway's games, whatever they may be. If they start a Tiddlywink team, he's going to be there. But he missed the Bethel Park and Gateway game. That's what happened. So whatever power he does have over sports, that's the only one he missed, Chip.
Yeah, I know.
What can I say?
And,
I rest my case.
And the conspiracy theorists among us, you can take that whatever direction you want.
And then I have to give a couple more thank yous. Andy's 2 daughters and son come out to watch our show, and they were there. And then I can't even believe it. Dave Cable, the first time ever, has watched a filming of our show, and it was last night. So I'm honored that he made it out there. And guess what? We had a couple glitches. We actually needed him to help save the show, the last 15 minutes of it. So Dave Cable, this is my official thank you. And oh, wait a second. I forgot about the hero of the night, Devin Shea.
Yay!
Devin we're at the last 15 minutes, and he goes, we're not recording anymore. What can I say? We're in the middle of an interview with Tommy Wiggle. Who would not want to continue But Devin had the most serious look. Well, he's in the military, so he doesn't panic, so it was hard to tell whether it was his usual face or a serious face. But he goes, we have no more room on the card. So I go delete the first part of whatever was on there. And it put Dave Cable and Devin Shea there, and I must give an assist to his military sergeant who just made Master Sergeant, Josh. So
Congratulations,
Josh is in the control room. He's helping to mop up whatever Devin needs, and Devin's ordering him around even though Josh outranks him. So I don't know how that happens in the military. But this is BPTV, and I'm glad I could be serious for a couple minutes there. But we're going to continue on. We usually talk different segments. We only have 15 minutes left, so stay tuned. We're going to open it up to a discussion on the sports that are on our mind, and we're going to do that right now.
Okay. Well, I do want to touch on something. You know, this is the one sport that I'm never going to understand, the sport of NASCAR. Some people question whether or not it's a sport.
It's a sport.
But this is the thing that confuses me about the sport. You know, the NFL plays the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year, as the very last game of the year.
Yes, sir.
And they build up towards the grand finale at the end. Well,
I know what you're going to bring up, but I'm not going to say
NASCAR
it.
decides that we're going to have the Super Bowl in the first week of the season. So they have their biggest race of the year, the Daytona 500, the first week of the season. They had 5 glorious hours of television coverage. I turned the television on at 4:57, watched the last 3 minutes of the race, last 3 laps, saw the most outstanding finish of the whole history of
Right,
NASCAR. And I didn't have to go through 5.5 hours of pain and suffering to do it.
You're not a true fan. I got family and friends that live and die by it. They have the hookups with all the feeds that you get from the cars.
Yeah.
You know how they talk back and forth. They
Yeah.
listen to all of that.
I mean,
My
you know,
sister
there was a time when I
Her
used to
husband.
pay a little, but they've monkeyed with the rules so much in NASCAR. You know, it doesn't make any sense. You know, once again, like I was talking about simplifying the rules in hockey, no ties, you don't get points for tying. Well, NASCAR.
That was last week. Now you got
yeah,
NASCAR
no,
this
NASCAR.
week.
You know what? Here's what they do. Whoever wins the roast races is the champion. You know, how is it that somebody can win a championship, not win a whole race in the entire season, just because they finished in the top 15? That doesn't make sense to me, but apparently
It's the rules.
it makes sense to the powers to be, so that's what they want to do. But usually there's 1 or 2 races you watch a year. You're going to watch the Daytona 500. You may pay attention at somewhere around the 4th of July
Yeah.
for that, and then
Memorial
you know,
Day.
and after that you get into baseball. You know, the playoff run, and then you got football. So who cares what happens?
Good point.
And these are all the opinions of everybody.
It's
out
just
there.
my humble opinion, folks. If I'm making somebody upset, it's not, you know, find something else to be upset about.
Yeah, just keep watching. That's all right. Tune in next week when we're not talking NASCAR necessarily.
And now we've also got the Penguins, who seem to be playing better as a team. They still have some key pieces that are out injured. Evgeny Malkin skated with the team today. Won't be going to Boston tomorrow night. And he's been out the last 9 games. He's close to coming back and close to being 100%, which could bode well for the team. But the youngsters they've brought up from Wilkes-Barre Scranton have played very well and helped the Penguins stay in the playoff race. Certainly, they can't take their foot off the pedal at this point. They've got to play hard every
It's
game
like
between
playoff
now and
hockey
the end.
right now,
Yes,
yes.
it's been playoff hockey for the last month with them.
Since
And-
the new coach come in, actually.
and,
it
and,
started.
and they're actually, you know, they nothing's guaranteed to them. You know, I still question, you know, how they're going to do against one of their Eastern Conference opponents in a 7-game series. But I guess we'll see that when the
we
when
got to
the
get
season
in
ends.
because we didn't look like we were going to make it. You know,
And we
that's one
still
of the
don't,
things.
you know what, for as well as we're playing, there's other teams that are struggling and fighting and playing just as hard and just as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 3-4 weeks.
And Smoking Jim, that's why it's an 82-game season.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay attention, my friend.
And I'm one of the few that said when everybody was like, hey, trade Fleury, get rid of Crosby, do that. Hey, those are your star players. And people come out to see the stars. And I hope that the Penguins keep that great talent together.
Well, you know,
I think they almost have to.
I don't think. Well, actually, because of the contractual obligations they have with these players, they don't have any choice. They have no
Thank you.
trade contract.
You wanted them to bring up some minor leaguer for
Well,
Fleury.
you know what though? They've
And they did.
they've handcuffed the organization to where you know they're limited on what their options are. You know, is what they're doing, and they cannot keep trading away players in their minor league system because there's nobody left there. The only person they've got that's worthwhile is Murray, the backup goaltender they brought up to play now to spell Zatkov. But I mean, we can't keep trading away our draft picks for worn out veterans in the interest of trying to win a cup now. It's not going to work. It hasn't worked. You just follow the
Well, I think if the Stars,
Blackhawks
if they
blueprint.
can turn the switch on for our star players, we've had a power outage for the last few years. The goaltender is playing on out of his mind. Fleury has done that, but even he can't do it forever. You need some goals.